How did one assassination start a world war? In the summer of 1914, Europe looked powerful, modern, and increasingly prosperous. Only 4 years later, empires had collapsed, millions were dead, and entire landscapes had been torn apart. The assassination of one royal heir triggered the crisis, but it did not create all the forces waiting beneath the surface. Europe was divided by alliances. Germany and Austria-Hungary stood at the center of the Triple Alliance, alongside Italy, although Italy would later change sides. France, Russia, and Britain formed the Triple Entente. These agreements were not automatic instructions for war, but they made every crisis larger and more dangerous. Militarism added pressure. Governments expanded armies, built battleships, and created rigid mobilization plans. Germany feared encirclement by France and Russia. France wanted security and remembered losing Alsace and Lorraine. Russia presented itself as Serbia's protector, while Austria-Hungary feared nationalist movements could pull its multi-ethnic empire apart. Nationalism was especially explosive in the Balkans. Serbia hoped to unite South Slavic peoples, including communities ruled by Austria-Hungary. On June 28, 1914, Archduke Franz Ferdinand visited Sarajevo. A Bosnian Serb nationalist named Gavrilo Princip shot the Archduke and his wife, Sophie. Austria-Hungary blamed Serbia and received Germany's promise of support, often called the blank check. It sent Serbia an ultimatum designed to be extremely difficult to accept completely. Serbia accepted most demands, but rejected parts that threatened its sovereignty. Austria-Hungary declared war on July 28. The July crisis then accelerated. Russia mobilized to support Serbia. Germany declared war on Russia and France. German strategy aimed to defeat France quickly by advancing through neutral Belgium, then turn east before Russia could fully mobilize. Germany invaded Belgium on August 4, bringing Britain into the war. German armies drove through Belgium and northern France, but the advance was stopped near Paris at the First Battle of the Marne. Both sides tried to outflank each other toward the North Sea. When neither succeeded, soldiers dug in. A line of trenches soon stretched from Switzerland to the Belgian coast. Trenches were not simply long holes. They formed layered defensive systems with front lines, support trenches, communication routes, dugouts, barbed wire, machine gun positions, and artillery behind them. Mud, rats, lice, disease, shellfire, and the constant presence of death-shaped daily life. Central problem was firepower. Machine guns and quick-firing artillery could destroy infantry crossing open ground. Defenders were protected by trenches and wire, while attackers had to expose themselves. Commanders tried longer bombardments, surprise attacks, mines, creeping barrages, and small assault teams, but every solution had limits. Poison gas became one of the war's most feared weapons. Chlorine could suffocate exposed soldiers. Phosgene was even more lethal, and mustard gas burned skin and contaminated ground. Gas masks improved, so gas rarely produced a decisive breakthrough, but alarms could cause panic, and protective equipment made fighting exhausting. Aircraft changed rapidly. At first, they observed enemy positions. Pilots then carried weapons, and engineers developed synchronized machine guns that fired through propellers. Fighters contested the sky, while reconnaissance aircraft directed artillery and photographed defenses. Air power mattered, but it did not replace the armies struggling below. Tanks appeared in 1916 to cross trenches and crush wire. Early machines were slow, hot, mechanically unreliable, and vulnerable to artillery. Used in small numbers, they could not transform a battle. By 1918, better coordination between tanks, infantry, aircraft, and artillery helped restore movement to the Western Front. The Western Front dominates memory, but the war was global. Germany and Russia fought across the vast Eastern Front. Austria-Hungary battled Russia, Serbia, Italy, and Romania. The Ottoman Empire fought at Gallipoli in the Caucasus, Mesopotamia, Palestine, and Arabia. Fighting also reached Africa, Asia, and the oceans. Gallipoli in 1915, Britain and France tried to force the Dardanelles and create a supply route to Russia. Troops from Britain, France, Australia, New Zealand, India, and Newfoundland landed against Ottoman defenses. The campaign became a costly stalemate, and Allied forces withdrew without achieving their objective. In 1916, Germany attacked Verdun, a fortress region with enormous symbolic importance to France. The battle lasted most of the year. France held, but both armies suffered heavily. Verdun became a struggle of endurance, remembered through the French determination that the enemy would not pass. Britain and France launched the Somme offensive partly to relieve pressure on Verdun. On July 1, 1916, the British army suffered its bloodiest day. The campaign continued for months and gained limited territory at immense cost. Yet it also forced Germany into a brutal battle of attrition. At sea, Britain's larger fleet maintained a distant blockade that restricted goods reaching Germany. German submarines attacked shipping in response. The Battle of Jutland in 1916 was the largest fleet action. Germany inflicted greater losses, but Britain retained control of the North Sea and the blockade continued. What transformed civilian life? Governments controlled food, industry, transport, information and labor on an unprecedented scale. Women entered factories, transport, agriculture, and medical services in greater numbers. Colonial troops and laborers served across the conflict, while civilians endured occupation, displacement, hunger, and mass violence. The Ottoman government's deportation and mass killing of Armenians during the war destroyed communities across Anatolia. Historians widely recognize these events as genocide. Elsewhere, invasion and occupation brought executions, forced labor, and destruction. The war's victims were never limited to uniformed soldiers on battlefields. In 1917, two events changed the balance. Revolution destabilized Russia, and the new Bolshevik government eventually left the war. Germany could move forces west, but unrestricted submarine warfare and the Zimmermann telegram helped bring the United States into the conflict with enormous financial, industrial, and military potential. Germany launched a series of offensives in spring 1918 before American strength could fully arrive. New infiltration tactics broke through sections of the Allied line, but the advance outran supplies and failed to achieve a decisive victory. Germany lost experienced troops could not replace. The Allies counterattacked during the 100 Days Offensive. Coordinated artillery, aircraft, tanks, and infantry forced repeated German retreats. Bulgaria, the Ottoman Empire, and Austria-Hungary sought armistices. Germany faced military defeat, domestic unrest, food shortages, and revolution. Kaiser Wilhelm abdicated. The armistice took effect at 11 in the morning on November 11, 1918. Fighting stopped, but peace remained unsettled. The Treaty of Versailles imposed territorial losses, military restrictions, and reparations on Germany. New states appeared, yet borders often left minorities inside countries they did not choose. World War I destroyed the German, Austro-Hungarian, Russian, and Ottoman empires. It accelerated political revolution, redrew the Middle East, and left wounded societies struggling with debt, grief, and resentment. The war did not make the Second World War inevitable, but its unresolved conflicts shaped the dangerous decades that followed. If you enjoyed our video, please like and subscribe for more history explained clearly.